tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and especially Paula and her campaign. And I'm going to let Dr. Joyce Hopkins introduce Paula. She's a state executive committee woman representing the 4th Senatorial District for 6 counties. And Joyce, would you come?
Be happy to, dear. Pleasure and honor to be here with you, Brenda and Ashley, and happy to see Paula again, and Dana, and Brent, and all the folks. And it's sort of deja vu all over again. I remember when Jim Cooper started his campaign, started something just about like this. We met Pizza Inn in Pascal, and they called and said there's a guy in town that's wanting to run for Congress. So I went out, and at that time I just got elected chairman of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party and didn't know anything about politics like Bill and Dana do. And so it just started out kind of the same way, just a little group, 10 or 12 people, and just escalated. And this impressive, very impressive resume of an individual who's offering herself up to public service. And that's quite an undertaking, and it's her resume is so impressive. And I just told Wanda, her son Jacob is 15. He's done a paper on switchgrass. That's one of the things he had to do at the end of last year in school. And I said, just to see this opportunity that you're bringing forth the ideas, the new ideas, and energy, and in healthcare, I don't think we need to say anything more. We've got a wonderful candidate who's offering herself up to public service, and we all need to get behind her and push and do everything we can to put Paula flowers, as she's been saying. And I love her slogan, send flowers to Washington. So
I'm so glad to be here this morning. I have Libby Johnson here with me this morning. I want to make sure you all know her. You're going to see a lot more of her too. She's a new lawyer. She's going to be working with me not only the campaign but my law practice. So as I'm working hard for the next year to become the next Congresswoman for the 3rd District, Libby's going to make sure my clients are taken care of as well. So Libby and I are going to be inseparable. So I'm just so pleased to have her with me today. But I'm so happy to be here, and I appreciate Brenda and Bill and Ashley for asking me to come up, and thank you, Joyce, for what you said. It's fantastic to be up here today. This is God's country up here in Grainger County, and so I'm sorry I missed the Tomato Festival. I was out of town that weekend, but I am working hard to become the next Congresswoman for the 3rd District of Tennessee, and this district gets to select a new Congressperson. People say, you want to be called Congressman, Congresswoman? I said, I don't care what you call me as long as you call me. So, I am excited. People say, how's the campaign going? I said, it's fun, it's exciting, it's exhausting. It's the best kind of exhausted I've been in a long, long time. And so I am here to apply for a job, and you're doing the hiring, okay? And so people, when you hire somebody for a job, you look at their resume. You look at what they bring to the job, you look at their work ethic and their attitude, and you look how they're going to work with other people on the team. So over the next year, before this primary, you're going to look to see whether I've got the qualifications and the attitude to get this job done. And the next congressman from this district does not have time for on-the-job training. So I'm offering to you my resume. I'm an engineer by training. I'm a lawyer. I'm a mother of 3. Boy, that teaches you a lot. You know, you get more life lessons from being a mother than you're ever going to get in any job. And so, you know, what that's taught me is that, you know, you've got to lead by example. Children learn by example. People say, are you ready to leave your family? You know, my children watched me when I served with Governor Bredesen, and I was proud of the work that I did. And they saw what I believe, which is that government can do better for its citizens. And I believe in something better for this district. And so that's why I'm offering myself for public service for this district. And so, you know, there's some big issues to tackle. And Barbara asked me earlier what are your main priorities? Well, I think everything from the economy, from solving some of the things related to putting more people back to work, we got to get federal spending under control. People are worried about their taxes. They're worried about how we're going to pay for health care. They're worried about how we're going to create jobs. We've got to pull out our federal budget and look at what we're spending money on. People are concerned. They're very worried. People are angry. They're coming to these tea parties. They're coming to these town hall meetings, and they're angry because they're worried about how much money is being spent and what it's being spent on. So I've been tagged as a budget hawk. That's what they're calling me in the newspaper. That's fine. I'll take that title, a budget hawk, because I was in Nashville with Phil Bredesen as Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance, and when we got to Nashville, we were facing a very serious budget crisis in 2003, and we had to cut our budget. We had to cut it hard. And so my general fund budget, the first year was cut 12%, and the second year was cut 9%, and I could not cut the essential services that were required in those programs. And I did it. It was very difficult. So I know what government needs to do more with less. And I was always aware of the fact that it was somebody else's money that I was responsible for. And so in Congress, I will support a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And even if the rest of the U.S. House of Representatives wouldn't pass one, we ought to be budgeting that way anyway. So the lack of consensus and the ability to get things done, there are other ways to solve those problems. And so you can call me, people say, are you a blue dog? I said, you know, I'm whatever dog you want to call me if it means to you that I'm conservative with other people's money. So that's number one priority. Second priority is health care reform. As the insurance commissioner of this state, I worked every day on health care insurance issues. Everything from working with doctors and hospitals that couldn't get paid for services they provided, that were trying to deal with exclusions that were in health insurance policies, working with the Federal Department of Labor and employers that were working in the federal health insurance system, which there is a separate system, working with people who couldn't get coverage under policies that they thought were going to cover their conditions or had conditions that were excluded. I did the original study, the Cover Tennessee study that gave Governor Bredesen the blueprint for a program that now covers 20,000 people who had no health insurance before. And their premiums are covered 1/3 by the employer, 1/3 by the employee, and 1/3 by the state. It's a good basic insurance program. Now, critics who say everybody ought to have a Cadillac program say, oh, it's not real coverage. Well, those 20,000 people and those small businesses that can now attract and retain employees would argue with that. We can come up with some common sense, affordable solutions, and everybody's got skin in that game.